To produce a simple setting out or workshop rod, there are several essential items of drawing equipment required. These include a metric rule, a T-square, a set square, an eraser and an HB pencil. During this demonstration, a small traditional casement will be drawn. Check the distance between the rebates on the width and length of the window frame. Use a T-square to draw a vertical line on the paper, allowing enough room for all the elevations. Throughout this stage of setting out, only lightly weighted construction lines should be used, as this will allow any unwanted lines or mistakes to be easily rubbed out without marking the paper. Continue to draw all 4 sides of the casement. It can be useful to have sections of the components required to complete the assembly at the setting out stage as a reference, and also to improve accuracy. The first view drawn on the rod will form the front elevation. Continue setting out the width of the top rail, stiles and bottom rail around the inside of the lines already drawn on the rod. In this case, the bottom rail is slightly wider than the other components. Now that the overall dimensions and the width of the material used have been set out, the smaller details can be inserted. These include the width and depth of the rebates needed to house the glazing. The details contained on each profile are better illustrated and understood if they are viewed from the side elevation. To produce this view, all the lines from the front should be transferred across the rod to meet the vertical lines indicating the thickness of the casement. Once all the rebates have been drawn onto the sections in the side elevation, they can be transferred back across the rod to the front elevation. To manufacture the casement, it's vital that the positions of all the joints are clearly shown. The haunched mortise and tenon joints that are to be used to construct the casement are usually located in line with the rebates. This avoids overcomplicating the joints. Because this detail is normally hidden, the lines used to illustrate these joints are normally broken. Before setting out any mortise joints, ensure that the chisel matches the exact dimensions to be used. As the setting out nears completion, some of the lines can be redrawn with slightly heavier weight. Other lines that are no longer required can be rubbed out to avoid confusion. The joint detail illustrated on the side elevation can now be transferred onto the front elevation to complete the views of each joint. The sections drawn on the side elevation should have end grain indicated on them to improve the clarity of the drawing. The rebate on the windowsill has a slight fall, which will need to be reproduced on the bottom of the casement to allow it to function correctly. The angle of the fall can be determined by simply squaring up from the rebate and measuring the margin remaining. This measurement will then be transferred onto the setting out. The perimeter of the casement should have an anti-capillary groove to prevent water penetration. This moulding should be indicated on the side elevation. The rod can finally be completed by removing any unwanted construction lines and adding weight to those remaining. Upon completion, add a title box to the workshop rod and complete the details.